In the last online lecture, we discussed content, how to write a speech. This lecture is the sequel. Now that you have written that speech, how do you deliver it? There are three main types of delivery based on how much memorization and preparation go into the speech. Those three types are memorized or scripted, extemporaneous, and impromptu. A memorized or scripted speech is when a speaker writes out everything that he or she will say, memorize it or take the script with, and deliver it word for word. Newscasters use this type of speech, and the script is projected on a teleprompter. Politicians also often use this type of speech. The next type of speech is extemporaneous. This is when the speaker writes a detailed outline and gives a speech based on that. Some of it will be read from an outline, but a good portion of it will be spoken without a script. This type of speech is more conversational and is often used by instructors, giving lectures and presentations. The final type of speech is impromptu. This is when the speaker is given limited time to prepare for a speech and it is not written out. There is usually a very basic outline with major points, but nothing more than a few words or phrases. Often, the type of speech dictates how much you should use your notes. Generally, a memorized or scripted speech requires the most notes. An extemporaneous speech uses less, and an impromptu speech uses even less. However, this is not always the case. Regardless of how much you use your notes, you should always deliver a speech as if you don't need them. For example, if it were not common knowledge that newscasters wrote from a teleprompter, you may not be able to tell. The same goes for many political speeches. You should never let your notes distract from a good delivery of your speech. Another common distraction from delivery is visual aids. Visual aids are very helpful and useful in public communication, and are often required as part of a presentation grade. However, visual aids need to be used correctly. Make sure the visual aid is visible to everyone in the class. An easy way to do this is with PowerPoint. There are some guidelines to PowerPoint and all visual aids. First, make sure there is a manageable amount of text. Too much text on a slide will mean your audience will be reading rather than listening to you. The text you have on a PowerPoint should also correlate to what you are discussing. Second, keep everything on your PowerPoint relevant to your speech. For example, if your speech is on marine life, it would be inappropriate to put a picture of a cheeseburger. PowerPoint slides should be visually appealing, but also professional. Visual aids are an important component to delivery, but they are not the only component. When practicing your speech, you should watch for three main components of delivery: eye contact, gestures, and vocal variety. You want to be sure you make eye contact with your entire audience. When you make eye contact with the entire room stays attentive and engaged. Hand gestures also help you keep attention with your audience and can assist you in emphasizing important points in your speech. Vocal variety is often the most difficult to monitor and is often the most important to practice. The trick is to simultaneously command attention while still speak conversationally. And you have to do that all with your voice. You don't want to speak as though you are reading from your notes, but you don't want to make it a casual chat either. Think about the best speech you have ever seen. Did you feel like that speaker was talking just to you? If you did, it's because that speaker commanded attention while speaking conversationally. The only way to deliver a speech well is to practice. Practicing is important for three reasons. First, it helps you become familiar with your speech. Second, it helps you fit the time requirement. Third and finally, because it helps you monitor your delivery. Everyone has their own preference for practicing. I like to practice in front of a mirror, because it helps me monitor my own facial expressions and hand gestures. I know others that prefer to practice with a partner and some that like to videotape themselves. Whatever way you choose to practice, it is important that you do. You'd be surprised at some of the things you do without consciously being aware of it, like fidgeting with notes, or gesturing only with one hand, or staring at the ground, or my personal favorite, giving your speech to the PowerPoint instead of your audience. To get you into the habit of critiquing yourself, you have to understand what to look for. In a few minutes, you'll be asked to watch 2 videos, one of a good public speech and one of a bad public speech. Using the rubric document your instructor talked about, you will be the one grading these speeches. You will be asked to look for both content and delivery. For content, are the arguments logical? Is it organized well? Does the speaker use credible sources? For delivery, is the speaker engaging? Does the speaker maintain eye contact and use appropriate hand gestures? Does the speaker use a visual aid, and if so, is it used properly? Does the speaker look rehearsed? Are notes used appropriately? When you exit this lecture, you will see the videos for 2 speeches. Print and use the rubric in Module 2 to grade both videos. Bring them to class and be prepared to discuss.